We did it. We're back.
Hello, everyone. Hello. So good to be back.
Yeah, it's been too long. We had a nice little series going, and it's all my fault. It's all my fault. But here we are. We're
No,
back.
that's okay. That's okay. You see, I've got my hair is much longer. I'm
The,
much more hairy than last
Lots of
time.
things have changed since last time we hung out, uh, and yeah, hopefully for the better. You've been doing a really awesome job on your videos. That's always been fun. So thanks for keeping it up. And
Thank you.
yeah, things are moving in the right direction.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Well, thank you so much for having me back. Yeah, I hope we make it a regular thing again someday. So yeah.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, I've got some awesome things to share and to talk about. So buckle up, folks.
Yeah, let's get into it. Let's get into it. So, set the background. You work at Bellsoft, and
Exactly.
Bellsoft did a survey at Devoxx,
Yep.
right?
Exactly. Yeah. So, is if some of you don't know who I am, my name is Catherine Edelveis. I work at Bellsoft. I'm a developer advocate there. We make Liberica JDK, which is recommended by Spring and is used by default in Spring Paketo build packs. Right. And we also develop and support Alpaquita Linux, which is the Linux distro tailor made for containerized Java workloads. And so containers is our thing, right? We've been doing a lot. So we've been putting a lot of effort into optimizing JDK for containers, into creating this Linux distro for containers, right? Because performance of Java in containers has always been a hot topic. But in recent years, right, the focus somehow shifted a bit, and the performance, although still a priority, is now shared as a priority with the security. So security for the teams is now not is as equally or even more important than the performance when we talk about containers. So that was a little foreplay. Because of that, we decided to find out what exactly teams are running in production and what is their stance on container security, what's going on with container security in real systems, right, in real enterprises, not just bots, right, not just marketing stuff.
Hmm.
So we went out and we asked more than 400 SRE and DevOps experts and developers at Devoxx, and as a result, we crafted a survey that, well, reflects these container security trends that are currently observed in enterprises. So, and that's what I would like to discuss today with you, DaShaun.
Fantastic.
Yeah, yeah.
Fantastic.
So yeah, if anybody has like any questions during our discussion or comments or whatever, like say
Yep.
hi. Yeah,
My
yeah.
mom and dad always watch my shows, so they always like to see where people are joining from. So if you're in the live stream, go ahead and send us a note, say hi, and tell us where you're from. And then the other thing is, I like to say is, when you come to my house for dinner, if you leave hungry, that's your fault. You're here. We're doing this a live stream so that you can ask questions. We want it
Yeah.
to be engaging. So if you've got questions at any point along the way, go ahead and throw those into the chat, and we'll try to address them.
Exactly, exactly. So I propose that we start, we jump right into it, into discussing the survey.
Let's do it. I'm excited. I have some like preconceived like what people are saying right now. I've seen this focus on containers. I've seen it across, right? There's lots of vendors. We're trying to get this zero CVE containers, hardened containers, and lots of people are distributing these hardened versions of containers to use. So yeah, I've
Yeah,
kind of got some preconceived ideas of what's going to be in, but I'm excited to hear. I didn't
yeah.
spoil it. I didn't spoil it. I didn't read it, so I'm all ears.
this is why we are going to do it this way. So I'm going to read or show the question from the survey, and we'll discuss it beforehand, right? So what you think about it, what you think is the answer, the most common answer, and then we will see the results and
Perfect.
see whether they can surprise you or not.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So let me just share my screen. Just a second. I have prepared a little beautiful presentation. Okay, where's that? Yep. Share. So you can see my screen, right?
All right.
Okay.
I will add it. There we
Yep.
go.
Okay, great. So this is it. This is the survey, the state of container security in 2025. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. And the first question is, what is the most important factor for you when choosing a base container image? So, DaShaun, what do your customers say? What they are looking into when they build containerized Spring applications? So, what's the most important thing for them?
So a lot of times, in the enterprise and the customers that I talk to, they don't really have a choice, right? It's something that's been predetermined. Somebody else has made the magical base image, and they don't have a choice. Now, sometimes developers, they'll have like their own kind of flavor, their own fashion. Oh, I want to use this for some reason. But I am not a big fan of selecting my own base image. My personal choice is it supported, right? I want to go to production with something that has support behind it. So I'm not the one that's having to deal with patching it and maintaining it. Because if I build an application and I build my own image, then I kind of have to take care of that image. I would much prefer having an image that is maintained, that where somebody else can say like, hey, yeah, here's your new version of the base image. Let's go.
Yes, or else you are just turning into the maintainer of a Linux or
Yeah,
maintainer of a Java
I don't want
JDK, and
that.
then you just waste your time onto configuring and patching the base image instead of delegating that to somebody who was actually responsible for this base image, right? So
Developers
yeah,
have enough on their plate. They don't want any
yeah,
more responsibility.
yeah.
I really like, I start to cringe maybe a little bit when I hear, oh, just shift left, give it to the developers. Why not just let the developers decide and let them handle it? No,
Yeah,
I don't like that.
yeah. Shift left, I mean, has become something that really triggers the anxiety attack in the developer, because shifting left sometimes means, in many cases, means that developers will just have more stuff to do
I,
than
I
they already have in their hands.
Cote gave he kind of coined this. I use it kind of like a swear word. Like, developers keep getting shift lefted on, and that's not good, right? They have enough on their plate with getting features out to production that they're this shift left thing. It just it slows everything down. And our take is, let's shift it down. Let's shift it down to the platform. Shift it down to automation, where developers don't have to think about that. They can just focus on delivering good product.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So that was the question, and the answer that we got. I hope you can see it well.
Yeah,
Okay,
I'm gonna
yeah.
actually switch my screen.
So yeah, so 29% say that security is the most important factor for choosing the base container image, and the support, in this case, the Java support, was like on the fourth place only, together with the image size. And the performance, as you can see, so it's even behind, it's dragging behind the security. So it's on the second place, and the security is in the first place. I think that maybe it's because the supply chain attacks have become something more than just a horror story, nighttime horror story, right? So with the accidents that we sometimes witness,
Yeah,
that's yeah.
this
So
is. I think that the smart answer, if anybody wants to like keep their job, I think security should always be the number one answer.
yeah,
Like
right.
like if you're a boss, like security should always be the number one answer. So after that, that's interesting. The performance of the container, that is a really interesting, and I think if I were doing the exercise, I think that's probably what it would be for me too. I think I tend to lean into the performance over the image size, but this other box of Java support, having compatibility, having the ability to use the JVM that I've got support with inside of the
Yeah.
container image, that's
Yeah.
important. I don't want to have to uh, like shoehorn my JVM into my container image. So again, yeah, for a Java developer, I think that's pretty important. So I like this.
Yeah. So that's a good. I think also so it's a good trend. So for security, staying somewhere really on top. And so the next question is about performance mostly in this case, but I think that was the only question related to performance, not to security.
Mhm.
So what parameters are critical for your company for Java application performance in containers, right? So we know that Java is like super performant per se, right?
Mhm.
It's awesome. It has this dynamic performance optimization. It's great in the long run, but we all also know that it has some maybe sites that are not tailored, make it not tailored for the cloud, or at least made it so in the past, like slow startup, right, and warm
Mhm.
up times. And that has been a pain point for many teams who ship their Java applications to the cloud. And another pain point was the image size, right? Because we have to with the Java applications, we have to drag the JVM into production, right? And the Linux base that supports running the application on JVM. So it's
Mhm.
not going to be from scratch image with the Java or distroless. So it's going to be some Linux and the JVM. And so the image size is, well, tends to be bigger than the image size with the Go application, kind of like that.
Yep.
So how about you, DaShaun? Do you know any other essential performance KPIs that are important for Java developers?
Um, just going off what you just said, image size, uh, that one's interesting a little. Uh, I understand the value of having a smaller image, and I started to question the concern for developers around image size because sometimes the images aren't going that far. Of course, we've got some customers that are deploying, one app instance gets deployed to 1,000 different instances, or there's 1,000 instances of that app. So there's 1,000 containers running that same version of that same app. That's the case, but that's kind of the edge. The image size, depending on where that image is going, I'm starting to think that it's more about the developer lifecycle. It's about
Mhm.
getting that feedback loop on the image size. Um, but yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe if I was to do a survey, that's what I'd put in there. But the thing that I hear the most from customers around
Mhm.
their images is they're not getting the latest JVM images fast enough. Even in the
Mm.
clouds, right? Even in the clouds, some of the services, you still can't use Java 25. Like we're closer to Java 26 than we are to Java 25. And
Yeah.
you still can't use Java 25 in some of these services. And I think that's the number one, like feedback that I hear is like, we can't do things like AOT cache to speed up,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
startup.
Yeah. Exactly. And that's why. So the answer is that efficient memory usage is on the first place. And it's
Yeah.
not only about the container image size, but also the memory usage of the application. So when the Java application warms up, right, after the
Yep.
start, it tends to consume more memory than when it is at peak performance. So you have to allocate more memory to your instance. And then this memory is just not used, right? So you are over provisioning, and well, that sometimes costs depending on how big is your workload, right?
Yep.
And yeah, and because of that, because of what you said, that many companies just cannot migrate fast enough to newer Java versions, so which are infinitely more performant than the older Java versions, right? Because of that, they can see that their Java, is not tailored to the cloud, because this Java that they are using was not meant to be in the cloud, like Java 8, right? Or
Right.
Java 7.
Yep.
So of course, right, the in this case the performance is going to lag behind. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's
mm,
that's powerful. The
yeah,
minimal OS overhead. That's
yeah,
also something that is like, I
that's
get it.
interesting. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I get
Mm-hmm.
it, and I don't know that I've seen that actually be a problem. I don't know that
Mm-hmm.
I've run into an issue where like, oh, our OS actually was using too much memory and it affected our ability to do something else. I get it. I get it. It's something that's on the radar. Uh, but yeah, I would expect it to kind of be at the bottom of the list. Um,
Yeah.
but I think
Yeah.
this
Mm-hmm.
still leans into right when I see efficient memory usage and high throughput, like these are benefits that you get when you can move to the latest JVM, right? When we
Yes.
can move to the the latest garbage collector, when we can move to the things like the AOT cache, so we can get to that optimized state faster.
Exactly, exactly. I was actually also kind of surprised with this minimal OS overhead because I also never heard from our users, from developers I was talking about the OS overhead in containers. Really, the biggest pain point was the memory usage and the startup time, Java startup time. Yeah, and
Now,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
there's something else that has been on the radar. Uh, Kubernetes, the latest release, uh, added a feature so that you could do dynamic pod resizing.
Oh.
So, so for those apps, where the JVM needed 4 gigs to start up, but then it was really running at 2.5 gigs, you could say after I've warmed up, after my peak has been figured out, I've done my just in time compilation and
Mm-hmm.
stuff. After
Mm-hmm.
I've done those
Mm-hmm.
optimizations, then I can resize the pod from 4 gigs down to 2.5 gigs or 3 gigs.
Yeah,
So
that's
that
brilliant. Mm-hmm.
I think is going to I think that's going to affect the conversation for teams that are working on
Yeah.
Kubernetes, but also the JVM. Being on the latest version of the JVM is going to help. So this
Definitely,
is good.
definitely. Yeah. So this is nice. All right. So, which of the followings do you find essential aside the base container? And let me just give you a heads up about what we're talking about. Here we're talking about the Linux base, right? And what tools you need there for your application to work or for your workload to function, right? Because sometimes your application doesn't need anything, and you, for instance, need a package manager for some reason. So what we're talking about here, whether developers need a shell or a package manager or a curl in a base image, right? Or maybe OpenSSH or the editors, right? Or utils like bin utils or core utils. So what
Yep.
are these things developers really need in their base image? So what do you think, DaShaun?
I'm a big fan of build packs, and with build packs, I can add different build packs to bring in the tools that I need. So for my base container, I don't need a lot. Back to the previous two, I don't need a lot of extra overhead. I don't need a lot of extra tools. Let that base image be thin. And with build packs, I could add the things that I need. And there's also a difference in some organizations, right? They have a dev container and they have a base container, right? The ones that you're doing your inner loop stuff in, your non-prod environment where it's going to have additional debugging capabilities, additional telemetry or whatever that's coming out of it. But the base container that goes to production, yeah, I want it to be minimal. I want to be able to do my observability, and
Mm-hmm.
I think that's it. But I don't really want. I'm not a big fan of being able to log in. I don't really want a shell for my production images, right? There's no point. Let me make sure I can get the information out.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm interested to see where this one went.
Yeah, and I have been advocating for minimal base images for a long time because really, whatever, if you need a package manager, just do the stuff on the first stage when you compile your application, when you all do the dirty work, and then your final application just needs to run inside the container. You don't
Yep.
need to do anything there. Well, you shouldn't at least do anything there. And shell, yeah, so sometimes it's convenient for debugging, right, or profiling. But on the other hand, you can use ephemeral containers, right? So
Yes.
they are we had the stream on
Yes, we
this
did.
topic. Yeah, yeah. So ephemeral containers, they're a perfect solution if you want to use a distroless image or the image without a shell, because you remember the build packs, when they build the container, there's no shell with the build
Yep.
packs, right? And so you don't need a shell actually, because you can use the ephemeral container, and it's not that hard actually. It's not that challenging to use the ephemeral container. Yeah. So actually I was shell was on the first place, and I was a little bit surprised, but I was more surprised that 40% of respondents actually need a package manager in their base image, and they need curl. I mean, really? That's a bit of a shock for me, actually.
A little bit, right? I think it depends on maybe the language, but I know where developers are at. I know that they don't all have access to things like build packs, and not everybody's in the same bucket. Not everybody has developer containers. So yeah, this is interesting. None of the above. I use distroless. Like if we were to do this again next year, I expect this to shift. I expect that the base container distroless, I think that's going to shift. I think that'll trend up and to the right. But yeah, like having an editor in the base container, that doesn't seem
right.
It doesn't seem great.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm a little
surprised
maybe
too.
I shouldn't be concerned, but I'm very surprised by the responses here, and it just makes me think that not everybody's at the same position. And yeah, I guess I understand where they're coming from, you know.
So you expect that trend to shift, right? So do you see among your customers already want to use distroless, or are looking for a minimal base image without any unnecessary?
Because here's the thing. On our first question, we talked about security, right? Well, on this list, what's most secure? The distroless is the most secure. Having the smallest attack surface makes you more secure. So that's why I see this trend towards distroless. It's not about image size. Maybe it's about image size, but I think more it's about security. And when you start adding things like a shell and a package manager and curl and open, those things to me scream, I don't want that in production, and that makes me nervous.
Yeah, I agree. It's like an open door when you're leaving the door open or the window open when you have a curl or a package manager in the base image in production. I mean, I can understand the package manager or curl on the first stage, right, when you're building your app. But in production, the package manager means that in case somebody gets access to the container image, they can install malicious packages just like that, because you have all the tools necessary for that. And the attackers don't even have to bring them with them because they're already there in your container.
The other thing with security is we like to have this software bill of materials, an idea of what's on the image when it goes to production, so that if some CVE gets announced or published, that I can go out and I can say, oh, I know exactly what's in all the containers running in production. If I've delivered shell, if I've delivered the ability for developer to go and install things on top of this base image, I don't have a good idea of what's actually in those images. And as somebody, you know, as a platform engineer, that's all awful to me, right? I want to understand where I'm at risk. I want to understand the hazards that exist. And by every one of those first 5, all of those, as a platform person, as somebody that's responsible for what's running in production or an SRE or whatever, those first 5 buckets all make me less secure. They make me not sleep good at night.
Yeah, I agree. And that really goes contrary to what we saw in the first question, that teams are concerned about security. Right. And the next question is a little bit related to this one. So which Linux distributions do you use as a base for container images, right? So what do we have? We have Ubuntu, right? Debian, the most popular ones. Alpine.
I'm going to guess the Alpine. I'm going to guess that Alpine is on the list, yeah.
And do you think it's on the top of the list or on some other place?
But there's also another one. There's one like this called distroless, right? There's another one that has a name like that that I'm hearing more of. Is it from
Um,
Google?
yeah. So there are several distroless flavors, as far as I know, but the most popular one is from Google. Yeah, Google
Yeah.
distroless images. And also there are chain guard containers with
Yeah. Yep.
Wolfie. Yeah, so as they call it, it's the undistro, whatever
Yep.
that means. Yeah. So, but DaShaun, you're right. Alpine is on the first place. Like 41% of respondents use Alpine, and that's already good because, well, it's small, it's minimal, right?
Hmm.
It's secure, it's clean, and so you get two of the best of the two worlds. So you get the minimal Linux distro, so minimized memory usage, and better security because the attack surface is reduced, right?
Yep.
Because Alpine Linux is so small. But unfortunately, there is Ubuntu and Debian on the second place. I mean, I don't have anything against Ubuntu and Debian. They are great. They're fabulous.
Yep. Yep.
Great distributions, very established, very performant, but most of their flavors are not suited for the cloud because they are too big and they have utilities that you don't actually need in a container. So in this case, you either deal with that, or you manually remove the packages that you don't need, which is just a layer of extra work, and nobody does that to be honest.
Now,
Right.
here's the thing that I said at the beginning. When you asked me what I care about in my base image, I said support. Now, I know that Ubuntu and Debian, they have, or Ubuntu has commercial support. Canonical can give you support for their operating
Yeah.
system and for some base images. And I know that Red Hat does the same thing. But once you get off, like not Ubuntu, other Debians, not Red Hat, other Red Hat flavors, I don't know if you can get the support. So I understand why Ubuntu and Red Hat are there. I'm a little surprised at Alpaquita so far down, but the Alpine, is it
Alpine.
possible? Honestly, I just had to like go and ask the internet if I could get commercial support for Alpine, and there are
Mm,
places, but I had to search, and it's a company that I've never heard of.
yeah, so Alpine, they this is the like community distro, open source, but the Alpine team does not provide commercial support for Alpine, and other third-party vendors may provide support for Alpine,
Yep.
right? So I know Docker, there are Docker hardened images, and
Now
Alpine
that's
is
also
one of
popped up
those
on the
images.
scene
Yeah.
just within the last few weeks, right? This calendar year, where Docker said, "Hey, we're going to have some of these hardened images."
Yeah. Hardened image is something that we are going to discuss a little bit today, also because I have
Okay.
some exciting news to share.
All right.
Right, and yeah, with Alpine. So on the one hand, it's good that teams use that because it's minimal. On the other hand, it's community based, and I'm pretty sure that these 41% do not get commercial support for Alpine. It means that their base image is not supported, and that's not real secure. It's not something that you want in production in enterprise, right?
And when I think about security, that support, that's security. That's my secure blanket. That's the thing that, yeah, that I think enterprise commercial customers need, is they
Yeah.
need that support.
Ubuntu may be bigger than Alpine, but at least, as you rightfully said, it offers support, commercial support, and that's what matters for enterprises. As far as Alpaquita Linux, yeah, well, it's down there, but we are new. We have like baby
Yep.
Alpaquita; it's still
Yep.
growing. We are still raising awareness about Alpaquita, so I'm actually pretty happy that 2% already use it, and so that's the way
Yeah.
to go because Alpaquita combines the minimalistic base, so it's minimalistic. Again, it's like Alpine; it's very clean. But on the other hand, it also uses muscle, but not muscle default, which is used in Alpine. And default muscle can lead to deteriorated performance of Java applications. Exactly, the Java applications, because there are some specifics with the memory location, which is important for Java. And so muscle based container images with Java may be less performant. But we have optimized muscle. So we have our own muscle perf, and it's 100% compatible with the default muscle. But the studies that we have conducted show that our muscle is just as performance as glipc. So you can use the muscle-based alpaquita, but it's going to be very performant. It's just like the glipc based distros. And we
Now,
also have, yeah, yeah.
this has been that I'm glad you brought that up because we already talked about native images. And one of the I don't know why, but one of the popular concerns around the native images is being able to do it with muscle instead of glibc.
Yeah,
Having the ability in my container to do it with muscle, that's an important piece. And then I'm now looking back at the build packs. There is a big enough part of the community that cares about that where it's gotten back to me. Like I'm not a maintainer anymore of any of these build packs.
mhm,
So it's been something that's been asked for years. Like we want to have muscle support in our images. So
yeah.
thank you for bringing that up because that is definitely a concern for at least a portion of the community.
Well, actually, DaShaun, thank you for bringing up native images because that's a very relevant thing here. Because I remember having experience with building a native image, and I wasn't able to build it on muscle because it needs tools that lack in muscle. So you either add it from the package repository, which is okay, but you can use glibc based alpaquita. It's a little bit bigger than the muscle based, but then again you don't have this problem, and you still have a small image, and you can build native images. And as we have this Liberica native image kit container, it plays perfectly well with native images and with alpaquita, because we have this ecosystem of products that are like tailored to each other. So if you want to build native images, you can use alpaquita as the container base, and that's going to be a very good solution for that. And for Java as well. So alpaquita repositories always contain the latest version of Liberica GDK, the freshest version, right? And then you get the updated version of GDK, like as it is. So yeah, I think actually we built alpaquita to answer the need of Java developers for a good performant Linux distro that is tailored for Java workloads. And yeah, right now, so we are raising awareness about that in a way.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and we also have commercial support, and this is important, right? So Alpine doesn't have one, and we offer it as part of our portfolio. So you can use Alpaquita as is. It's also open source. You can use it for free, but you can also have commercial support if you need that in your enterprise,
Yep.
right? And that's a game changer for some enterprises.
Very nice.
Right. Well, from Linuxes, which to JDKs, right? Which JDKs do you use inside your containers, right? So we have several JDK distributions. For developers, they are pretty much the same, right? So if you are building the basic application, it doesn't matter which JDK you use. But when you go into production, that's where JDKs start to play a role, because you need a JDK that is regularly updated, right? You need a TCK verified JDK. You need a JDK that maybe is optimized for the cloud or has additional flavors with additional tools that you need, right? And again, support, right? So that's important for your JDK to be supported and to offer the vendor backing.
Yep.
So, DaShaun, what have you been seeing around in the fields, in the trenches? Which JDKs are the most popular?
Uh, that's a good question, right? So I'm on the Spring team, right? The customers that we have that have Spring support, they also get Bellsoft support. They get Liberica support. So I think I might be a little biased in that a lot of the customers I work with, they're getting their JDK support from Bellsoft, right? So they're
Yeah.
using Liberica. Outside of that, I see a lot of Corretto. I see a
Mm-hmm.
lot of Oracle. I see a lot
Mm-hmm.
of Azul.
Mm-hmm.
Um, of course, I see Microsoft's JDK.
Timorin, maybe at
And
least
I
Timorin.
see Tamarin.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and I know that there's more, but I think that kind of rounds out what I see typically. Uh, yeah.
Yeah.
And the thing, the big thing for me and for us, right? We've had these conversations about native images, right?
Yeah.
Not all of those JVMs have a native image toolkit that's easy to use. So
Mm-hmm.
for me, I like the ability to have a native image kit. Like that's a big part. So my default, and I don't always do this, but a lot of times I'm delivering the JVM that has a native image kit in it just for simplicity. Sometimes I make a distinction like, hey, this app will never be a native image, so I'll just deliver the regular JDK.
Yeah.
But my default lately has been I'm delivering the JVM with the native image kit included.
Yeah, because I also seen this shift among enterprises. They, at first, a couple of years ago, they were very apprehensive about using native images, but now I see a greater adoption of
It
native
is,
image, and
yep, training in the right direction,
yeah,
absolutely, and it just
yeah,
keeps on getting better. Right, when we started doing our stuff back in 2024, when we started having these conversations, the amount of time that it took to build a native image. The good thing for us is we get a new JVM every 6 months, and it seems like every time we get a new JVM, the native image kit, the Graal VM side of things, keep on improving as well. So that's been just, it's been, yeah, lucky us, right? We didn't have to do anything, and now we get this much better experience, faster builds, etc. And yeah, and today those builds, and especially if you're on a newer machine, the builds are almost trivial. Like I remember when my native image builds were taking 10 plus minutes.
yeah,
I think maybe the longest, for the biggest application, I think my native image on this machine is taking 3 minutes. And that's for
oh
the biggest thing. But I think typically the ones that I demo, they're like 30 seconds. So
no,
my approach is right. This is you're building these native images, typically in your pipelines, your path to production.
yeah,
And I like to. I'm a multi-architecture. Like build one for ARM64, build one for
yeah,
x86,
yeah,
build them for these different architectures, so that your teams that are running on Apple Silicon, for example, they can have an image that works that they don't have to do emulation on, and the others as well running on x86. They can have an image. We don't have to do a big dance, but I can build those native images, especially for non-prod, or for scaling. Having the ability to have a native image and a JVM based image for the same application, it's nice. It does a couple of things. It lets me do a comparison instead of saying like, oh, I don't think that's going to work for us. I see some concerns and trying to find a reason for it not to work. Why not just build the images and do a side-by-side analysis, right? On
yeah,
any platform. I can deploy that native image to Cloud Foundry. I can deploy the JVM image to Cloud Foundry. I can have them run side by side, and I can get the metrics. I can decide what's the
yeah,
right one, because there's
exactly.
also not every application has the same use, the same volume, the same metrics, right? There are a lot of applications that are running. Yes, we built it on Java because that's the tool that everybody's trained on. We built it, but maybe that app is only being called 5 times an hour. It's still important for business process, but it doesn't need a fully, optimized 500 instances across different regions. It's running in a few places. It's only getting called a few times. So maybe in something like that, it's actually better to have it start up quickly,
Yeah,
right? And be able to shut down. Maybe that's good enough. Maybe the latency, if it's 500 milliseconds versus 200 milliseconds, maybe that's not a big deal. So
yeah.
each use case has to be looked at a little bit differently. And why not build the images so you can do that analysis?
Exactly. And the native image makes it possible really to implement the scale to zero approach with Java, because otherwise it's just useless, absolutely, because Java starts up and then warms up, and then your scale to zero becomes like a huge hole in the budget. Something
And
like that.
I'm a developer advocate. I've always liked, if I've got a big A app of microservices that, it's got 50 different microservices. Not a lot of us have a machine that can run 50 microservices on a Kubernetes on our laptop.
Yeah.
But today, if I've got native images that scale to 0, I can deploy those 50 microservices to my laptop, to a Kubernetes, to even Kubernetes inside of Docker Desktop. I can deploy those things. And if I've got something like Keta or Knative, I can scale them to 0 when I'm not using them. I can have all that process back. And if I want to do an end-to-end test that hits all 50 of them, yeah, I'm going to take an extra 60 or 80 milliseconds to start them all up, but I can still do it.
Yeah.
I can still have all of the latest versions of all 50 microservices on my laptop. And that's
Exactly.
powerful.
Yeah,
Now,
exactly. Do you
I
use
think, go ahead.
a coordinated restore checkpoint, by the way?
This came up this week. We had the Kansas
Hmm.
City Java user group, and we're lucky to have Billy Carando, who's on the Java platform team as a developer advocate over at Oracle. And he was talking about all the cool things. And the coordinator store at checkpoint, here's the thing. I like to do the comparisons, and I like to show like things starting up. There are still a lot of really valid use cases for that. The one sticky point is still the security, right? When you do that coordinator store at checkpoint, if you've got tokens or database credentials or something inside of the JVM that could get rid of this, then that's a problem. I understand. But there's a lot of use cases where that's not the case. And there's a lot of times where even against a native image, the coordinator restore at checkpoint, Project Crack, those images actually start up faster than the native image. And so there's this trade-off. Do I want the native image? The memory footprint is set, right? So I know exactly how much memory it's going to use. I don't get any of this optimization over time. The coordinator restore at checkpoint image, again, it's kind of like, I don't hear about it as much anymore, but the value is still there. I still understand. It's still on my menu of options that I'm going to look to because I get that amazing fast startup time. But I also get all the benefits of the JVM. So it's going to even improve performance over time. So there's trade-offs. I still like that I can still choose it when I want to. So yeah.
Yeah, but I also like that there's never a one fit all solution, like never in no field of life, right? And here we have a variety. You come into the shop and you have a variety. You can have the native image, you have Crack, you have your good old JVM, you have AOT cache, right? The Project Layton. Still, there's also an option, and the most painless one, right, in terms of integration. So you can choose. With garbage collection, that's the same. There are 6 garbage collectors in JVM 6, and one of them, Epsilon GC, doesn't actually do any garbage collection. But for some applications, it might be just perfect choice. Right? So that's great. But coming back to our survey, are we ready for the hard truth?
I'm ready.
I think we're ready. Okay, so 48% use Oracle or OpenJDK. And that is, well, that is not a very, very good thing, especially when teams use this from OpenJDK line. That's just something. And the OpenJDK image, Docker image, is officially deprecated in Docker Hub, so it doesn't receive regular updates. But there are so actually many teams who use this from OpenJDK line. They build the image on the OpenJDK, and that's just infested with CVEs. It is. It truly is. So I think this is the legacy stuff. So I think somebody has written a Docker file some years ago, and it has never changed since then, right? So if anything broke, don't fix it, right? So if there is the Docker file written from OpenJDK or from Eclipse Tamarind, if it works, then, well, okay. Why should we change something, right? If it works. But unfortunately, with the CVEs, that's not the case, right? So But then there's Amazon Corretto on the third place, and I don't use JVM containers. Maybe that's the native image stuff. Maybe,
Yep. Yep.
right? And that's already good. So I think maybe that next year these pictures also going to shift a little bit, right? So there are
I
teams. Yeah.
I'll
Mm-hmm.
say that that's the thing that I'm kind of I'm glad we got this baseline from the end of 2025. I think there is a trend. I think we will see a shift. Um, yeah, I'll just say that. I think if when we do this next year, which I hope you do it again next year, I think we will
Yeah.
see a shift and a trend. So yeah, this is good.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see where life goes, because more and more teams, especially when I talk about using the latest JDKs in production, when I talk about different GDK versions, about multi-stage build, for some teams that comes as a surprise. That, yeah, really, OpenGDK is no good. Oh, and then they start doing the research, and then they see how many CVs there are. Oh, okay, yeah. I think we should do something about that. So yeah, maybe you're right, and next year we will see this shift, hopefully.
And now I want to do some finger pointing because that 69% of respondents report using JDKs that are shipped with known CVEs. We did a survey last year. We pushed out a report when we pushed out Spring Boot. I think it was 3.5 in May of 2025. What we were able to see at Maven Central, I believe, was of all of the downloads from Maven Central for Spring Boot, or maybe it's just Spring projects, of all the downloads, 60% of the downloads from Maven Central were for versions that had known CVs that were out of support.
Yeah.
So I don't think developers are choosing to download these things. I don't think developers are choosing to stay on Spring Boot 2.6 or OpenJDK 9 distro base
What
image.
do,
I don't think that
then?
that's the case.
What do you think then? What is the problem? Why is it so? What do you think?
I think it's because, and I'm going to say like the bigger, I think the bigger audience is because that's what was given to them. That's, hey, here's the version that you've got to use. Here's the version that's in the Docker image. Here's what you got. You're supporting, and for the same reason, like we've put these things on developers to do the upgrades,
Yeah.
and they're trying to keep up with the new features and keeping their job, and the developers don't have time to go back and upgrade base images and do that.
Yeah.
There needs to be something in place so that those base images can get updated so they can stay supported.
Yes.
Because
Mhm.
no developer wants to jump out. Some developers will like say like, oh no, I'm going to go do it this way. This is the better way. But a lot of times, right, and especially in this market, in the US at least, you kind of want to stay off the radar for rocking the boat. You want to, keep your head down and deliver, right? Get to production.
Yeah.
So it's concerning, right? Again, back to the first question that we asked was about security, yet we're still making these same mistakes. We want
Yeah.
security, and I think we're looking for a better answer.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. So this is something that this is again, this the legacy. The developers were given this exactly base image, this Docker file, and you're using that. And upgrading is not always easy, right? To upgrade the base image, you have to do the testing, regression testing, performance testing, and the God, I forgot the word. To write down, to craft the rollout strategy, right, in case something goes on, and rollbacks, and that takes time. And again, the jobs that becomes the job of the developer, right? So, and the developer has to write code, has to ship features, abilities. Developers have to deal with them, and the upgrades. If the developer suggests to upgrade, you say, okay, then you do that, and you deal with the something that hits the fan afterwards. Of course, and we stay there. So yeah, Okay. The next question
Here we
is,
go.
yeah,
Now,
here we go.
this
Finally,
is the
yeah.
thing that
Mhm.
should hopefully make the rest of the survey make sense.
Hopefully, yeah. Yeah. So, what container security mechanisms do you currently apply? Yeah, that was a question. And so, what security mechanism do we know, right? So, let me start. A software bill of materials, right?
Yep.
That's the security mechanism. Okay. What else? What else do we know?
There's always the scanners, right?
Scanners.
Somewhere on the
Yeah.
path, we're going to do some sort of scanner.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Trusted registries. Yeah. So don't
trusted
pull stuff
registries.
from somewhere. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, like, but that I think I'm going to say first bucket, what I would see is most popular is some scanners. Like, hey,
Scanners.
is there a
Mm-hmm.
CV in this thing? The problem with that is they check to see was there a CV on the way to production, and then it gets to production, and they're not rescanning. They're not saying like, hey, that thing that I took to production a year ago didn't have any CVEs when it went to production, but now I don't know. So I think the first bucket is scanners. I think the second bucket is that software bill of materials. When we do the
Mm-hmm.
scans, we're building those software bill of materials so that when it gets to production, if I get a new CVE published and I say I can go look at my software bill of materials catalog and I can say, oh yeah, we are at risk.
Yeah.
But the whole trusted registry and the other software supply chain things, I think there's going to be a big drop off when we
Mm-hmm.
go from scanner to software bill of materials to trusted registry to like provenance of signing of building. I think those are
Mm-hmm.
there's going to be a big drop off on the percentage.
Okay, so let's see. Well, 45% work only with trusted image registries. That's almost a half. Then also almost a half, a little bit less, do the vulnerability scanning, right? And the software bill of materials is only 18%, which is not so good, not so good, because yeah, software bill of materials together with the scanning, that's the first line of defense. That's the first line of defense, because when you have the software bill of materials, you know exactly what you're running, you know exactly what versions are there, and the scanners pick those versions and they say, okay, this one has the CV, this one has two CVs, right? This one, like, you just have to get rid of that because it's not no longer supported for 2 years. Yep. So the software bill of materials is your list of ingredients that your soft artifact was built of, right? It's the same as when you go to the shop and you buy a candy or whatever, and you look at the ingredients list, and if you're buying some food and you don't see the ingredients list, are you going to buy this food, DaShaun? What do you think?
No, I'm not a fan.
No,
No.
no. I mean that would be okay. Of course, the apple is just an apple, right? But when we are
Yep.
talking about some pre-processed stuff or prepared stuff, the list of ingredients is something that should be there, right? And with software, that's the same. And I'm very sad. I'm very sad that only 18% of developers use software bill of materials, and especially considering the fact that they are something that will make you compliant. There are regulations, as far as I know, there are US regulations, right, that demand a software bill of materials from the enterprises. And then it means that you're not only insecure, you don't have the transparency, and you risk failing the audit
Yep.
if like serious people wearing black suits,
Yep.
so to say, right, come to you and say, okay, that's the list, you have to be compliant, and you can't say anything. You don't have the software bill of materials, you don't have the provenance, you're pulling from, I know, from somewhere, and that's basically it, and that's the trouble. That's when the trouble comes. So yeah.
Yeah. There's this salsa, right? The
Yeah.
supply chain,
Mm-hmm.
stuff. And even for like the basic level, uh, this audience, at least this survey, like that's definitely not on the list, right?
Yeah.
Uh, even being salsa, whatever level one, right? And there are 3 levels. Like even the minimum level, there's not a lot of this audience is checking those boxes. But then I also wonder if they're aware. I wonder if these developers are aware of what's happening after they do get commit and what's happening in the rest of their path to production. I'm wondering if they're aware because even for like Cloud Foundry users, they do the CF push, they get a build back. I wonder if they are aware of all the security that's going in. So yeah, this is it's a little concerning. I would like to be a developer that knows that the stuff that they're taking to production is secure. I like to sleep. Maybe I'm just at that age, but I also know the types of things that kept me up at night as a developer and as an engineer, manager. Like I know the types of things that kept me up at night. And I think there's more risk today than there was, 10 years ago. I think especially depending on the size of the enterprise that you're at, the bigger the enterprise, the bigger the target on your back is. So I would want to check as many of these security boxes as possible so that I can sleep better at night.
And considering the fact that time to exploit has been reduced from weeks to days, right? So you cannot afford running CVE infested images in production. You just cannot, because then you're going to be lucky if you get the 2 a.m. Wake up call and saying that we have the CV in production. It means that you are lucky. You have still time to patch that until morning. But the worst news is when you get, okay, we have a data breach. Yeah, right? So we were attacked.
Nobody wants that call.
And nobody wants that. No.
Right.
I mean, so yeah, that's it. Okay, the next question is, that might be painful. I don't know. I'm going to surprise you. Maybe it's not that bad. So, how often do you update your container images? That is, well, something that has also been a pain point for many years and for many teams, right? So, how often should you update the container image, and how often do you realistically update the container image? So that's the question.
Yep.
Yeah. So, what do you think, DaShaun? How often do teams update their container images to the latest and greatest of the base image?
I looked this up yesterday. So this number is in the top of my mind. Yesterday, I was doing some research about CVEs, and it said that on average, there's 138 CVEs. Okay, but this is across all languages, all the things. But the databases, that top tier database where we publish CVEs, 138 come out every day. Now, does that mean that it's affecting the things that are in my container image every day? No, and that's very not likely. But the idea that those databases are getting updated every hour, right? And I used to think that those databases, they used to get updated every 3 or 4 hours. And now it's every hour. The delta for all the CVEs, that gets published every hour. So the bad actors are getting this list every hour of what's all the new things where I can go and exploit. So they get a list, they get an update of what can I go and do. And sometimes the exploits are easier to do than others.
Yeah.
So if the bad actors are getting an update every hour, and that's their dinner bell, that's their signal to go and find some food. If we're not doing at least the analysis every hour, then we're losing, right? It's a losing battle. We're never going to win if we're not addressing what's in our software bill of materials for not only the application, but also the container.
Yeah.
And while I'm there, also the platform, the things that are running those containers. Because if you're just focused on the container, you're leaving the door open. So you got to be thinking of this from the app, and for this audience, right? Mostly developers. Make sure your app is patched. The next thing is make sure you're going with a patched, updated container. And then hopefully you're lucky to work at a place where they're taking care of the platform for you.
Yeah, exactly. And also there was a study that has shown that the base image, the Linux base, contains more CVEs than the application dependencies, which means that's because teams tend to use outdated base images, and then you imagine how it just accumulate the CVEs or get accumulated in their containers. So, well, with that, let's see.
There you
Okay,
go.
well, here you go. Here we go. Let's see. With every application release, 31%. That's okay. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Only
If you're
one
delivering
critical.
twice a day, that's fantastic.
Yeah, I mean that's perfect, right? Only when critical vulnerabilities are found. Well, at least something,
Yeah.
right? That's already better. But monthly,
Mm,
rarely, or weekly, if we calculate the sum, that's 33%, so more than a third, update rarely, right?
yeah.
Their base
Yeah.
images. And like every few months or less, or even monthly, especially when CVEs emerge every day. Of course, yes, you're right. They are not all of them concern our application. No, but
Yeah.
still, right? They emerge every day. There were several thousand CVs. Even if I find these statistics right here and right now, I'll tell you. So how many CVEs were found in total the last year? But the problem is that it was like 30% increase in CVEs. So there are more CVEs discovered every year,
Yep.
right? It's not going
Yep.
to drain. It's not going to. The flood will never stop.
Yep.
So you're putting yourself at risk if you don't update like super regularly, right?
Absolutely.
Um,
Uh, and and when I see that, oh, we're updating on a time schedule, right? It used to be like, oh, we'll do the every month we'll do an update, or every 60 days we'll make sure to patch everything. And that sounded great, 10 years ago. That seemed reasonable. But today it's not reasonable to be on a time schedule. It needs to be on a signal. If there's a new CD published, you need to take action. You need to be in a position where you're getting the signal, and you're getting the same signal that the bad actors are getting. There's no reason for you to be behind. You should be able to update, and you should be able to build a process that gets those updates out. But you got to know what's in production. If your images have those, shells and package managers included in them, then you got a bigger problem.
Yeah, and you know what the irony is? The irony is that yes, updating is well. Sometimes there may be the risk of regression. You have to test everything, but the longer you postpone the update, the bigger is the risk of regression of or instability or
Yes.
something going wrong.
Yep.
Right?
We absolutely know that. Like, that's,
Yeah.
you can't argue that anymore. Small
Yeah.
changes are better, more secure.
Exactly. Exactly. Right. So here's the interesting thing, right? So, in the past 12 months, has your organization experienced any security incidents related to containerized applications, right? So, these are the consequences of everything that we have already discussed, right? Was there a security accident or not? Of course, not all enterprises will disclose such information, and
Yeah.
that's totally fine. Yeah.
Anonymous survey.
Anonymous. Yeah, I think that we should do something like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
because then we would get, I think, maybe even more information. But still, what's your take? How many, like, what is the percentage of organizations that have experienced a security accident? What do you think?
Yeah. So that's the tricky thing is, like, every once in a while I'll hear about, oh yeah, we got a fire, production issue. Rarely do they say, kind of the root cause, right? They don't kind of share. But of the things that are public, of the incidents that do go public, um, yeah, I think most applications are containerized these days. Uh, at least in my little network of the applications that the enterprises that I'm working with, most of them are containerized. Not all of them, but most of them are containerized. So any security incident is going to be on a containerized application.
Somehow related to it, yeah. In any case. All right. So let's see. Well, there's a 23% of enterprises that experienced an incident, 5% major. And then there was 17%. That there's a small typo in the survey. I beg your pardon. We're going to update that. So 17% did not disclose this information. So, well, 60%, more than a half, didn't have any security accidents, which is good.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, that's still with all of that that we have discussed, right? With all the package
Yep.
managers and curls living in production CVEs, still, right? People manage to get lucky. Would you
And
use lucky? Because I would use the word lucky here.
I would actually I would look at that second paragraph, the last sentence. It's like many haven't experienced attempted attacks yet, or they lack the visibility to detect those successful intrusions, which is
Yeah,
also a concern. So just because you haven't reported, you didn't see it, that doesn't mean that it didn't happen. And I think that there are some of those cases, because a lot of what we see when we do identify, hey, there's been a breach, it's not it happened yesterday or it happened today. A lot of times, the ones that make it into the public, they're like, this has been going on for 2.5 years. It wasn't detected, right? The bad actors were sitting in the network, they were doing the things,
yeah,
and it wasn't detected until
yeah,
years or months later. So
yeah.
of those
That's
60%,
that's
another
concerning.
interesting follow-up would be like a year later, like, is it the same? Are you
Uh huh.
sure?
Uh
Right?
huh.
Or did one of the incidents that happened this year, was it still affecting you a year ago, etc.?
Yeah, that's the scariest thing, right? When you don't know, because we've seen this headlines, right, on some major attacks, when attackers have been there, have been around for months out there, right,
Yep.
and
Yeah.
or even years, and nobody noticed, and that's so scary. I mean, that's so scary that your
Yes.
app can be exploited right now, and you don't know about that, and you don't have the tooling to know that.
Yes.
So yeah. Right. Okay, we have two more to go, right? Two more to go. The almost the final one. So, what are the main challenges you see in securing containers, right? So, we have seen that containers are not updated regularly. They have tons of rubbish or unnecessary tools. They're insecure, unsupported Linuxes or GDKs used, and yet teams strive for security. Security is the top priority.
Mhm.
But what are the challenges in actually improving the security posture of the enterprise? What do you think? What do you think is the biggest challenge?
I think I'm gonna go out on a limb. I don't know if this is one of the questions. I think the biggest challenge is having the automation in place
Mm-hmm.
to get it done. I think that um, the developers that were surveyed, I'm sure that they're aware of the CVEs, and I'm betting that it's outside of their control. I'm betting that it's an upstream, it's an operational problem, not a technical one, uh, most of the time. And then when it is a technical one, it's just because the automation isn't in place, so that when there's a new, uh, you know, a CVE in the Linux
Yeah.
base, that they're just not able to get it out to production in time.
Yes. Exactly. So, you really, if there is a patch, you don't have time to implement it, because you have to again check everything, right? And you have your
Yep.
rollout. You just don't have time, you don't have the resources, and again, as we discussed, right, when with the security shift left, developers don't have time to patch and to fix the code that they didn't write. And why should developers fix the code of the
Yeah.
Linux, the GK, that they didn't write? Right? Of course, they don't have time for that. They have like tons of tickets open for their
Yep.
own stuff to do. So yeah, and of course, it's only natural, right, that difficulties with patching, right, gaps before patches become available. That's all out there. Time and resource constraints, 50%,
Yeah.
right? Limitations of standard tools is lack of the automation, as you say,
Oh,
maybe.
this is an interesting
Yeah.
one. The 29%, false positives from scanning tools. Yeah,
Oh yeah.
that's a that one's pretty popular. I see that
Yeah.
one quite a bit.
Mm-hmm. Right.
This is a
So
time and
yeah.
resource constraints. This is this all resonates. Yeah.
Yeah.
And this goes back to the point, like, hey, if security is number one, like, why aren't we doing things? Why are we, letting these other things kind of take priority? And now we see it, right? Now
Mm-hmm.
we see why. Uh, because yeah, the automation, the regular patching, the automation that's around that, the time between, hey, when that CV is and whatever machinery gets those new images out, this all resonates and it makes sense. Developers can't do all the things. In order to be successful at an enterprise, you kind of have to divide and conquer. And this whole conversation, right? I lean into build packs and the value that build packs provide, but having that secure, valid performance based image, that's important. But that could be in a build pack too. But yeah, that can address a lot of these other things.
Yeah. So, do I understand correctly that you think that at least one practice, the first practice that should be implemented when there is the time constraints is the automation,
Yeah.
right? Something that will solve most of the problems. Yeah. Yeah, I think so too. Right. So you automate patching, right? You automate scanning. You build the system once, and then you just get your profit right from that.
Yes. Yep.
Exactly. And yeah, so the last question is what would most help the organizations to improve container security? So you, DaShaun, say automation, right?
Yep.
Uh, let's see what are the answers. So, and
Yeah.
yeah,
Pretty
look,
hard.
43% better or automated tools, right?
Yep.
That's the priority. And the pre-hardened security focused base images, almost a half, right? So these are maybe even these two options will really help any enterprise to decrease to withstand this constant CVE flow, right? You
Yeah.
migrate to the secure base image and you automate the patching, and then that's it. And then the time will not be the problem anymore at all, right? And prioritization will not be the problem anymore, right? Because you will have the system in place already. Something
I'm
like that.
curious how developers are sleeping. I'm curious if developers understand how secure or insecure their apps, right? I've got this microservice application A that's got 50 microservices, and I'm running production. That's my team that we run this thing that has 50 different microservices running in 3 different regions across the globe. That's our responsibility. And I'm wondering what percentage of those developers on teams that have that kind of situation, do they know how secure or insecure those images are in production? Are they getting a readout? Is that their responsibility? Should they be concerned? I like to be able to sleep at night. I don't ever want to be
Mhm.
that developer that's putting
Yeah.
my company on the front page for the wrong reason.
Oh
So
yeah.
that I feel like I would want to know. I would want to have a software bill of materials. I'd want to know that my base images are patched. I'd want to know that I've got support. If something does go wrong, it's not up to me to go and fix it, that there's going to be a patch for that image.
Yeah, exactly.
And
Because
I'm wondering what percentage get that.
well, I think that calls for another survey actually. So we have this for 400 people at Devoxx, and of course I would be really really happy to ask like thousands of developers, right, to get this picture globally in a bigger extent and to see that. But I think we can safely say that some developers maybe don't care. I think there are developers that don't care
Absolutely. They
because
don't know that they need to, right? I
yeah,
think that comes with experience.
yeah, whatever is in the production, well, their business is the application, but the container image, that's not the business of the developer, right? It's
Yeah.
the business of SRE people or DevOps people or whatever,
Yep.
right? Cloud experts. It's not their problem, right? And then in production, they say, okay, there's a vulnerability. You patch that. No, you patch that, and then this ticket is just going to
Yep.
hit like
Yep.
a tennis ball between the teams, and nobody wants to take responsibility.
Yeah. This is
Exactly.
good.
Exactly. Yeah. This is actually a very good insight. I mean, we can see here that the expectations and the reality are very different, right? Teams want security. Teams understand that security is the top priority. But at the same time, they commit all the possible security mistakes, right? And the security postures in most enterprises is not so good as they maybe would like to be or would expect. So yeah, we are there is a gap, right? We can see this gap now.
Yep.
So maybe in a year or two we will see that this gap is going to be decreased, because hardened images, this is something, yeah, that we have mentioned in the beginning of
Yep.
our discussion, and now we're coming to that. Hardened images have taken the stage recently, in the recent like year, maybe more actively. So
Yep.
what is the hardened image? We can have like a separate live stream on hardened images so that
Yeah.
we don't tire the audience too much. But hardened images are well, too long to read. Hardened images are secure by design. They are super clean. They are designed to be with low to zero CVEs. They are vendor backed, right? And they have all the security practices in place. They come with this SBOM. They are signed. They come with provenance, right? And then you get this. Uh, right. Well, yeah, DevSecOps, maybe. Why not? Of course. But uh, again, hardened
Yeah.
images, right, is something that can help you reduce, at least reduce the sheer amount of CVs. And they are updated regularly. So your image stays clean. And, well, given that you update it as well.
If you update it, right? Those hardened images,
Yeah.
those pipelines of hardened images, they're only valuable if you've got the automation to take advantage of them. Right.
Mm,
Going back
yeah.
to the previous one, the time, if you've got the systems in place to make sure that those are getting patched quickly, you can say, oh yeah, we got hardened images, but you're for only updating them once a month,
Yeah.
right? Like we saw, that's not doing you any good, right?
Exactly.
You're wasting money.
Exactly. So the updates, that's important. You introduce hardened images, and then this automated system, patching system,
You have
right?
to have both.
Checking for monitoring for updates.
You have
That's
to have
what
both.
essentially you do.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So that's it. That's pretty much it, I
Kat,
guess.
thank you
Wow.
so much. I would like
Oh,
to pick this up again.
yeah.
Let's get these
On,
things going, because these are always wonderful conversations. And for the hundreds of people that have joined and watched, I would like to leave you with a question. I want you, if you're a developer, I want you to ask yourself, do I know how secure my containers are in production? Are they patched? Are you sleeping good at night, like knowing that you're on a secure image and you're not going to get the call today or on Monday that something has been exploited? That's
exactly.
the question I'd leave the audience with. So, Kat, thank you so much.
Thank you,
This
DaShaun.
was
Thank you for
wonderful.
having
I
me.
look forward to doing it again soon.
Yeah.
Integrity.
Me too. Me too. So let me just paste like a link to the
Oh yeah,
report.
that'd be valuable.
Yeah, yeah. So if our audience wants to check it out for themselves,
Yeah.
right. And there's this piece of news that I wanted to share, which is very exciting, is that
Share it.
Bellsoft has also introduced hardened images. We already have hardened images with
Fantastic.
Opatita, with Liberica. So for Java workloads, that's a perfect match, I would dare say, because your Linux support and JDK support comes from one vendor, right? We are
Okay.
responsible for both, for
Yeah.
Linux and for JDK. And we have the possibility to introduce patches in-house, right? Because we have the experts. We can
Yeah.
proactively patch. Even if there's no patch upstream, we can do that for you if you
Fantastic.
need. And that's what I wanted to. Let me just pass it into the our private
Right.
chat link. So yeah, check the story out. Check the Bellsoft hardened images if you are there in the site. I will be very happy to. They're also open source, right? They can use. And yeah, see ya,
All
DaShaun,
right.
next
Thank you
time.
so much. We'll see you next
Yeah.
time.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
Thank you. Bye bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.